Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Karate Kevin 67 here. Welcome to my channel, Superpower Review, and welcome to today's live stream. What's That Comic Book? What's That Comic Book goes on every Saturday with guests from the comic community, IG comic family, and this is where I just hang out with great people, and we just take turns randomly pulling comics out of our comic book collection and just giving as much information about them. Is it a first appearance? Who's the writer? Who's the artist? Why is this comic book meaning to you? Such and such. It's just a really fun time. I am super excited for today's show because we have a returning guest, a really great guy here who is a fellow New Englander. And we also have two guys that I've had on my list to ask about being on the show for the longest time, and they finally are here. So I'm really pumped about that as well. So first of all, let me introduce my first guest. We have Paul Cooke all the way from Florida. What's up, Paul? How you doing, man?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, of course, dude. So like I was kind of scrambling looking for a third guy, and you're like, hey, I would love to come on again. I'm like, you're in, dude. So thank you so much for stepping up to the plate and coming back on, man. I really appreciate it.
Anytime.
Yeah, thank you. And then so we have a couple of first appearances on the channel today. We have Dee Runk Comics on the channel today. What's up, Dee Runk?
Hey, how's it going?
What's going on, man? Thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it, buddy.
You're welcome.
I'm definitely expecting to see some heat from you for sure, because that's all you own, I feel like, in your collection. You just own nothing but big boy books.
I own a lot more than just big boy books, but I usually only show the big boys. So
that's what gets the views,
I guess sometimes.
All right, well, that's maybe I need to do that more often then, so to try to get more views. show off the big boy books. And then the last guest we have on today, yet again, another YouTuber that I've been trying to get or thinking about trying to get on the show for a while. We have Comic Man Andy. What's up, dude?
What is going on, guys? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.
Andy
no problem.
over here.
We got Andy, dude. We got the man with the spicy words.
I can get a little spicy.
With cold beverages and yeeting things across the room. No, really. Every time you say yeet, I have to laugh, dude. I'm like, I don't know why that word is just so funny, but when he says it, I gotta laugh. Yeet. And we got a couple of people in the chat here. We got Unruly Simeon with the peace sign. What's up, brother? How you doing, man? We got Truckin' with Comics in the house. What is up, man? We got my buddy Automatic Comics. Dude, I just watched your $20,000.
$20,000.
Yeah, dude, like insane. I don't know what this guy is up to these days, man. It's just insane. We got Taylor Winder in the house too, man. Thank you so much for jumping in. So guys, thank you so much for taking time of your Saturdays to come out and hang out with us and nerd out with us. And if you guys are not familiar with these gentlemen here, you guys can go in this video's description down below and go subscribe to their channels. Paul, you don't have a channel yet, right?
I do not yet.
Okay, all right.
You can follow me on Instagram.
You can follow him on Instagram. There you go. Boom. And so make sure you guys check out them, and you guys can follow them and see what they're doing with their comic book collection these days. Buying too many books. Dude, I don't know how you do it, man. It's like unreal. We got my buddy Jason Parker Comics in the house. Hey, folks, hope everyone is having a wonderful evening/afternoon. And that we are, sir, and that we are. So, guys, if you are watching today's live stream, if there's something, if you even crack the tiniest smile, I want you guys to please smash that like button. If you guys see anything that really made you nerd out really hard, again, smash that like button. If you guys are new here to the channel, make sure you click on that subscribe button and click on that bell notification so you don't miss any of this great content. So I think we're going to have Paul Cooke start us off.
Okay.
So
and if they're not cracking the smallest smile when you're talking about comic books, then they're a little bit dead inside.
Yeah, if there's a comic book that we show and you don't have it and you feel dead inside for not owning it, smash that like button. just do it. Just smash the like button no matter what.
Okay, I'm going to go back to I'm going to go on the way back machine and go back to 1970. The biggest comic news of 1970 was when Jack Kirby moved from Marvel to DC. That was huge. In comparison, if you remember it a couple of years ago when Bendis and Romita Jr. moved from Marvel to DC, that was huge news. Kirby moving from Marvel to DC was like 100 times bigger news than that, because Kirby at that time arguably was probably responsible for half to three quarters of the characters that Marvel had at the time. So when he moved, everyone was wondering what was he going to do when he moved to DC. Would he do Batman? Would he do Superman? And he ended up doing Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen. Was the first book that he did. And so this is actually the second book that he did.
Wow.
It is Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen number 134. The reason why this is important is because this is the first appearance of Darkseid.
That's a
Claim.
great name for that book. Claim.
We got to do it in the chat. I forgot.
Yeah. It's a Neil Adams cover, but it's all Kirby inside. Like I said, this was the second. It was in the first couple issues of Jimmy Olsen, he was kind of planting the seeds for his fourth world that he would do. Obviously, that was the big thing he did in DC, was the fourth world. But this is the second one. A funny story about Jack Kirby too, when he moved to DC, was that the people at DC were kind of afraid of him drawing Superman, because he wasn't actually, especially his face, because they didn't want Superman to look too Marvel-like. So they actually had somebody actually redo Superman's face every time Jack Kirby drew Superman for the first time.
See, that's a piece of information I actually did not know.
Yeah, Murphy Anderson was the name of the guy who used to redraw Superman's face over Jack Kirby's body.
You just got to let Kirby be Kirby, man. I hate that.
Exactly. So that's where I start. So it's a great book. Kirby only spent like 3-4 years with DC at this time. He ended up coming back a little bit later again. But this was the first appearance of Darkseid.
Wow. We're starting off with heat already, guys. So no pressure, gentlemen. You know, you guys got some big shoes to fill. Not that this is a competition or anything, or nobody's gonna win at the end of the show. But holy cow, man, that was a crazy start right there. All right, George, your turn, man.
All right, so before we full screen me, I pulled out my oh shit box.
Oh,
I got that idea from Reggie Collects. It's where if there's like an emergency in the house, I've got one box that I'm going to go run and grab before I get my wife out, before I get my cat out of the house. I get this box first, and then we save people. So
if you save your wife, you can actually carry two boxes.
Man.
So what I did, though, is I shuffled it before we started. So Kevin, I want you to tell me front of the box, middle of the box, or back of the box.
I'm going to think of terms of a burger. You know, I want the meat of the burger. That's the part that's important or matters. So in the middle.
In the middle.
He's digging.
All right, I got this. Is one of the least valuable books in that box. It is.
It's so cool, though.
Yeah, look at that.
This is X-Men Alpha #1. It is the gold edition. I don't know why they call it gold, because it's like a prism rainbow looking thing. But I just remember knowing about that this existed when I was a kid, and I could never find one. And you know, obviously, I'm a much older kid now, and I have been able to find one, and I had the income for it. So I grabbed one, and it's dude, the Age of Apocalypse storyline in the mid 90s was like just one of my favorite things ever. Like, and I was glad when it ended too, because it didn't need to go on forever. But I absolutely loved it, and the character designs are incredible. I love that, and it's just I love the art. Yeah, chromium covers. It's like as 90s as a book can possibly be.
My eyes hurt from all the shininess.
Yeah. No, dude, there's a couple more shiny ones in here. We'll see if we get there.
Every time you pull that book or show that book on your channel, I'm like, man, that thing is just so shiny. I love it, though.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
Now, wasn't that one of the books that you upgraded, or like you had CGC and like you were like, nah, like I need this book in a 9.8?
So this is one of those books when Andy, when I went to C2E2, I had 3 books that were graded at a 9.6 previously, or a 9.4 even, and I cracked them out before I went to the convention, and I did the on-site grading, and because they're grading them on site, they're like looking at it they're doing like the one-eyed whisper as they go through it, man. They're not even looking at this thing. So it got a 9.8, and I like, that's right. So, yeah, this was a 9.6, and it became a 9.8, and I was pretty proud of that. So
boom.
Yeah, boom, baby.
Nice, man.
That's great.
All right,
Andy, it's your turn, bro.
Ooh.
Comic Man Andy. All
right.
What's Comic Man Andy got?
What do you think? You want to go spec pile? Do you want to go PC pile? Or do you want to go signed pile?
Ooh.
PC pile.
Yeah, okay, cool.
PC pile. All right.
I don't know why I'm so excited.
Okay. So probably one of the books I chased for the longest time for my personal collection, because I am stingy and I'm cheap, and some of this individual issue was harder to come by for some reason, low print run. But Punisher Volume 2, number 100, the Michael Golden cover.
Oh,
this one was a lot tougher to come by. Like, you could find them on eBay, but they wanted hundreds of dollars. I wasn't paying hundreds of dollars. I waited it out for 7 years, I think, 6 or 7 years before finally one came up at like auction, and just went straight up for auction. I got it for half about what they were going for, and I finally felt comfortable landing this one for the registry set, because this is my all-time favorite Michael Golden Punisher cover. It is absolutely dope, the way that skeleton's wrapping around Frank Castle. And a big old fireball coming out of those pistols.
Yeah, that is sick. His hands are kind of like formed like as you'd see in Mortal Kombat when you like, Sub-Zero's freezing and stuff. Like, that's cool.
That's probably one of the top 5 longest hunted books for my collection. Was this one?
Hell yeah, dude!
Awesome.
Wow. Okay, that was pretty sick. That was pretty cool. All right, so I think since everyone just pulled out slabs, I think it would only be right if I pulled out a slab when I wouldn't. I don't want to be the oddball here. You know what I mean? I don't want to be not having a. Oh, look, you can see my cute little Band-Aid from today's shot.
Hashtag COVID proof.
Yeah. Don't touch me. All right, let's see. So let's see what the wife picked out for today's show. Swamp Thing, number 1. Nice. CGC graded at a 9.4. This is yet another book, man, that's just been going crazy with price lately. Oh, wrong person. This is a book that's been going up a lot lately, man. So I think I recently saw it over the weekend. Someone had one same grade for $8.50, and I was like, man, like, what is happening with these comic books, man? It's absolutely crazy what they're doing. But so if Automatic Comics is still watching, I know with his $20,000 comic unboxing that he just had on his channel, he had some Bernie Wrightson goodness from Swamp Thing, and man, yeah, it's definitely a fantastic series to pick up. Highly recommended. If you're into horror, or if you even want something a little bit different, if you don't want to see, Spider-Man save Mary Jane for, the 20th millionth time, or, or Lois Lane being saved by Superman for the 10 millionth time, pick up Swamp Thing. Try Swamp Thing out. It's pretty good, man. So, boom. All right, round 2. Paul, what you got, man?
Okay. I'm trying to improve my my Marvel collection. So here is Thor. Thor number 337. It's first appearance of Beta Ray Bill.
Woo.
Hopefully he'll appear in a movie soon, although I'm a little bit scared of him appearing in a movie because I could picture him ending up like a Jar Jar Binks type of a thing.
Yeah, I get you. I feel you on that.
But this obviously was important because because of the character. He was the first non-Norse character who could actually pick up his Thor's hammer, Mjolnir. I can never say that. Mjolnir. Okay. And so he's had a couple of mini series after that, but this was his first appearance. It was Walt Simonson who did the cover and also did the interiors. So love Walt Simonson as well.
Yeah. So. Nice newsstand too, huh?
Yeah. Yep.
Very cool. I've been seeing this book a lot more often lately, and I don't know if it is because of the new Thor movie coming up, but I just feel like a lot of people are definitely picking this book up a lot.
That's a good looking one, and that's going to be one of those books where I think if they do it right, Marvel usually does it right, you know, in their movies at least. Once you see that character in the movie, people are going to want that book that don't have it, so it'll be a tough one.
Yeah, I believe so as well. Hobgoblin's Hideaway. Thanks, man. Go ahead, Paul. Were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say, and the CGI has really kind of obviously, leapt ahead so far from when Lucas did Jar Jar Binks that hopefully it'll be a lot better. So,
yeah,
for sure. All right, George, your turn again, man. Round 2.
Paul, front, middle, or back?
I always go to the back.
Baby got back. What's he got?
Oh, I know what I got.
Oh.
This is the book that got me collecting comic books again.
Whoa.
This is my sketch cover done by Dan Jurgens.
Wow.
At a comic book convention. I didn't even know what a slab was at the time. I had him do it for me in person. And I showed it to a friend. He's like, "You can get that slabbed?" And then I had to look that up. Like, what the hell is getting it slabbed mean? And it took me down an incredibly expensive rabbit hole. So really, I hate this book. I'm very grateful for this book. But it's this Dan Jurgens is the artist and writer that did The Death of Superman, and him holding that cape is just an idea that I had. And when I told him about it, what I wanted him to sketch, he goes, "Oh, that's a little bit more than what I would normally do at a convention." Then he paused and he looked at my face and he's like, "Oh, you poor bastard." And he just went ahead and did it anyways. So,
did you give him puppy eyes?
Yeah.
Dude, my eyes were watering and
Please.
No, but what's crazy about that is I had seen him at a comic book convention shortly after the Death of Superman, or I was going to see him there, but he was sick and he wasn't able to make it. And getting this done, 15 years after the fact, was really exciting for me. And this is definitely in my oh shit box, just in case the house goes up. I'm gonna get this book out and we'll be just fine.
Oh shit box.
Yeah, dude. Dude, bring it back up over to me.
Okay.
Let's see if I can get this to...
It actually says
So, yeah,
that was actually on the thumbnail you did too. It was just like that with the $sign and the exclamation point.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Man. Couldn't even guess that better. I think if I would have a hard time, man, because like I put my slabs in my drawers. Okay, I have like drawers for them. I don't know if you guys seen like my CGC collection video, but like it's drawers underneath my bed. I think I would have a hard time, dude. Like I would have to make a couple of trips in the house. No, sir, don't go in there. It's my house, my comic books. I gotta go in there,
dude. And I don't plan on having a fire in my home, but if one came up, if I could get to this box safely, I'm going for it. And so
I would just like explain to the firefighter, like, do you understand what an ASM 300 is? I have 8 of them, bro.
I will give you one if you let me save them.
I'll give you a piece of one. You can't.
Like, he ain't giving up one of them. I guarantee
it. Like gold bars. Hand the fireman a gold bar. Like, seriously, let me through.
Yeah.
All right. Comic Man Andy, your turn.
Yeah, Papa Runk's got the oh shit box. I'm gonna be like, oh shit, I need every box. So, Papa Runk, what do you think, man? Signed book, PC book.
Let's get a signed book, but one with a good story behind it.
Okay. Ooh, you're gonna run me through the ringer here, aren't you? All right. So, speaking of signed books with good stories, my first ever comic book convention, if I could speak at all, was the 2019 Motor City Comic Con. I'd gone to smaller get-togethers, but this was my first real big convention. and Jim Lee was going to be there. So what did I do? I told the wife, I'm like, we've got to do the full-on experience. So I went digging through my short box of my favorite Jim Lee covers, and this is probably my second favorite Jim Lee Punisher cover, and got it signed.
Wow.
Waiting in line, comes back in 9/8, and it's signed in gold on the bottom because I love gold.
Perfect.
And I love that Jim Lee signature. And this is just Punisher Armory #1 doesn't get enough love among Punisher fans because it's one of Jim Lee's top Punisher covers, in my opinion. I love it. And then to be able to actually spend time with him at that convention and actually get several books signed was awesome, and get a couple of pictures. And that's how I opened up my Instagram account. That was the first thing I shared, was that signing event on Instagram those years ago at the Jim Lee signing. And for a double whammy, it's a newsstand.
Oh,
so
surprise,
newsstand copies of this in high grade are a little bit tougher to find.
Yeah.
So
Dude,
this is
newsstand
absolutely
anything
awesome.
is fantastic at a 9/8. So
yeah,
good job.
Yeah, and that was my first, not only my first real big convention, that was the first time I had ever done a signing event or even got a signature series slab book. Much like George was like, I don't know what slabs are. I was kind of like, I get them, but I've never done the grading process. So I had the third party people there in line, and they're like, sign here. There's fees for the grading, fees for the shipping, fees for the signature, then there's the handling fee, then there's this fee, and I'm like, I started sweating in line. I thought this was going to be like a $50 adventure. No, not at all. This is way more expensive than I thought it was going to be, but it was worth every penny for getting to actually meet Jim Lee and watch him sign the books. And that was a really cool experience.
That's an awesome story, dude. Awesome story. So I don't have anything signed by Jim Lee yet. I eventually want to. So one of my favorite Jim Lee covers all time is the X-Men #1 with Magneto. Love that cover. That is my all-time favorite Jim Lee cover, and it has a nostalgic factor to it as well, because that's like one of the comic books that I had with me and my brother in the collection. So we read that book to death. I eventually want to get something signed by Jim Lee, because I think it's just very, very necessary, especially to get that book signed that I said too. But man, that's a great book to have, dude. I've never even seen that cover before.
It's not super well known. I mean, it's usually Punisher fans who are buying them up and collecting them, and I don't know anything about the print runs, but they're starting to go up in price. And I know issues 8, 9, and 10 are fairly lowly printed, and those are pretty pricey. Issue 1 you can still get in a CGC 9/8 for like $60 to $80, depending on the seller.
Wow, that's pretty cool. All right, so let's see. What do you guys want? You guys want Marvel, DC? Can do another slab?
I want another slab. I like me some slabs, boy.
You want another slab? All right. Let's see. Let's see what wifey did yet again.
Who dat? Comics and More. What up, brother? Hunt World Champion.
I already know what slab this is just by feeling it, because it's the it's the only one with the older case. George, are you ready for this? I don't think you're ready for this, because this is a book you like. I was right. So Daredevil #1, ladies and gentlemen, very, very low grade. very, very low grade. But this was the grade that I could buy. This was available to me. This was a book that that was at my local flea market. And I was like, man, the price is right. I got to snag that. So here's the thing, right? The first time I went to the flea market was with Mark Spector Comics. I don't know if you guys follow him on YouTube. So we went together, and I was like, dude, like a Daredevil #1 right there. And it was priced for $8.50 at the time. And I thought about buying that, but I was like, man, this is my first time meeting Dave. Like, I don't want to bust out like all that change to buy a book. Like, I don't know. I just didn't feel right about doing that. And so like I thought about it for like long and hard for like a month. And I was like, all right, I think I'm going to go back to the flea market and see if that Daredevil #1 is going to still be there. And it was a little bit more money, because this is when the whole Charlie Cox news came out with him, seeing him on set with Spider-Man and whatnot. So it was a little bit more. It was still under $1,000, and I was like, I gotta buy that. I gotta pick that up. Like, it's right there. It's available to me. I don't have to worry about shipping or whatnot. Like, bam, PayPal, boom, book is mine. So, no matter what the grade is, I'm just super happy to have this book in the collection. It's still a really cool book. Daredevil's not too worn out. The logo is a little worn out, but it builds character. So, and I think it's cool.
Low grade is better than no grade.
That's right, buddy. That is right. And so eventually, I think once if CGC's turnaround times ever slow down, I will eventually send this in to get a new holder. So very, very good. And not detached either. That was another big bonus for me. No restoration, and the cover was attached still. So that was pretty big for me. I was like, yeah, I think this is the one right here.
Yeah, I think we both got our Daredevils around the same time. And it was
you got yours first, actually, and I was like, damn, like when you got yours, it made me even think harder. It was so much harder about the one at the flea market. I was like, dude, like Dee Runk's got one, now I gotta go get that one. No word of a lie. I was like, man, I gotta go get that Daredevil #1. Because when I saw it that day and I did that video, like I nonstop thought about that book. I was like, man, I should have picked it up then. Like I messed up. I could have gotten for $850. Again, still it was still way under GP. And yeah. I even tried talking the guy down a little more. He's like, no, dude, like here's the GP what it's selling for right now. Like you're not gonna find this book at a better price. I'm like, you're right. But I had to try.
Oh yeah, no, you gotta haggle.
All right, this is going to be our third round. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching, don't forget to smash that like button if you like anything that you're seeing so far. There has been some fire books lately, so I would definitely recommend smashing that like button. And again, click on that subscribe button. Don't forget to check these guys out after the show and click on that subscribe button on their channels as well. So third round, Paul Cooke, what do you got, buddy?
Okay, Dee Runk, top, middle, or bottom of my pile?
Oh, let's go. I want to get to the bottom of that pile without knocking it over.
Okay. This is New Teen Titans 39.
Ooh.
George Perez cover. This is important, not just because the New Teen Titans basically was one of the companies that helped save DC in the 80s with sales, but also because this is actually the last appearance of Dick Grayson as Robin. And the story behind this is, if you know about comics, you know that in the team books, usually there's not a lot of character development for characters in the team books. They like to keep them to their individual books. But because Batman was going through some changes at the time, they let Marv Wolfman and George Perez kind of have Dick Grayson to do what they wanted with him. And so that's why, they kind of transitioned him from Robin to Nightwing very soon after this issue. And the whole way that George Perez ended up on Titans is kind of an interesting story too. He was with Marvel and he was doing the Avengers and he was going to come to DC and he wanted to do Justice League, so that he was doing Justice League and Avengers. And they said, we'll let you do Justice League, but you have to do this other title that we're doing. And it's called the New Teen Titans. And so he kind of thought that he would do it because he only thought it would last 6 issues. And it kind of became the book that he became known for. So, it's kind of a cool story behind the scenes. A lot of these things that happen with these comics is sometimes they're more exciting than what happens in the comics.
Very cool. Very cool.
I love that book. That's awesome.
We're seeing a lot of white covers today on this live stream today on What's That Comic Book?
What's that comic book?
Automatic Comics. Seeing other people with books you want definitely pushes you to buy stuff. Yeah, I think I'm going to spend $20,000 today on comic books. My wife will be really pissed, but it's going to be totally worth it. I'll make it worth it. I have no choice but to make it worth it. All right, George, your turn again.
Andy, front, middle, or back?
Front.
What's it got? Is it
what I think it is?
My Scarlet Spider number, or Web of Spider-Man 118. I've got 3 of these. but one is the direct edition, one's the newsstand, and then the other one is the second print, all 9/8. But yeah, man, this is just my favorite comic book character. I love the costume. The story of the Clone Saga is not good, but the character was well done, like, if that makes sense.
This
So
is all true.
and it's just one of those books that also has a really cool advertisement on the back for the Carnage video game. And
I love that game.
The game was amazing to play, like especially when you're a kid. Doesn't really hold up nowadays, but yeah, I love this book. And yeah, man, this is another one that when the house goes aflame, this book comes with me.
Grab that book. Oh shit, the fire's house is on fire. Grab that book. This was another book that I don't have slabbed yet, and I do eventually want to get that one slabbed. I love the Scarlet Spider. If you were growing up in the 90s reading books, you definitely were a fan. If you're a fan of Spider-Man, you were definitely a fan of that Scarlet Spider suit. That was one of the coolest things. Definitely a cool change, swap up on the Spider-Man costume for sure.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, my brother and I were obsessed with that suit.
Because of George, I bought like 10 copies of that book a year or two ago.
Very cool. All right. Comic Man Andy, your turn.
Ooh, I think I'm going to go straight for one of my favorites. Yes. There's a good story behind this book, and I'll get to it in just a minute. But that I'm going to have to bring out.
There it is.
A saga.
So that's 9. We're up to 9 now, at least.
So for anybody that hasn't seen my channel or seen any of my content, I'm a massive Saga fan. What's important about this copy of Saga, you say? It is the Comic-Con India variant of Saga #1.
Wow.
An incredibly ultra rare variant that is incredibly hard to find. So the story behind this book, 2014, they did a Comic-Con in India, in the country of India. And every person that walked through that door, every single person that walked through that door got a grab bag. And within that grab bag was a copy of Saga labeled in India, Comic-Con India on there. Every single person. Every single 6-year-old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old, 9-year-old, and 10-year-old that walked through that door, every child that walked through that door got a grab bag with this book in it. If you've not read this book, let me just say that the first 2 pages are extremely graphic, and the entire series in its whole, even including the first book, is graphic, and mature readers' warning was never placed on the book before the convention. So there was a big uprising, and there was a lot of legal action going on. People were getting sued. This was getting thrown around. The book primarily got thrown away. Most of the copies were collected up and thrown in the dumpsters. Some people kept them, but they were trashing them pretty hard. I've got one copy that I found on eBay out in the UK that I got for $20 that looked like it got pulled out of a trash can. I found this one on the West Coast, maybe like a year and a half ago. This one is destined to get pressed and cleaned here coming up in the next month or two. And I'm hoping that this thing will push 9.2 to a 9.4 and have a serious running at the top spot on the CGC census. There's only 2 copies on the CGC census. One's a 9.0 and one's a 9.2, I think.
Interesting. So I was just going to ask you too, is like, do you know if there are any on the census yet? So cool.
There's only 2, and I have spent the better part of 2 years searching and scouring the internet for more copies of this, and they're non-existent. I found one website that you could order copies from, but it was definitely one of those fake out websites where if you punched in your card information and paid for 10 copies, they would take your money and never ship your product. It was one of those, because I almost tried it just for funsies to see what would happen. But this is the rarest copy or the rarest printing of Saga #1. So this had to land in this collection, and it's got to get graded here soon. That's
a great story.
Well, I can't wait to see that thing slabbed, man, because I'm very curious to see what it's going to get.
Could you imagine every child walking through that convention, getting that book and opening up and basically seeing a lady give birth to a child on the first 2 pages?
Yeah.
The opening quote of this book is, quote unquote, Am I shitting?
Yeah.
Literally, like the opening volley for that book, and every child got exposed to that at this convention.
Yeah, so definitely that I've read Saga. Someone in the comic community sent me a trade paperback of it. Read it while I was sick one day. I was sick in bed. I was like, oh, I think this is a good time to read this story, and read book number 1. And I was like, yeah, this book is definitely out there, but it's good. It's really good, especially with the the sex scenes in here. And so yeah, so seeing what happened in India with this book is not shocking at all. Let's see. The Dude Without Fear. Let's hope some little kid in India hasn't been hoarding them and is sending in 109.8 candidates to CGC.
I'd be all about that. Flood the market, because then I'd be able to get a 9.8 guaranteed. You know what I mean?
Funny. We got 16 people watching right now. So again, shout out to those people for watching, hanging out. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Let's see. What do you guys want to see next?
Let me get a Marvel.
You want a Marvel? You want a key?
Yeah, let me get a key, please.
In the key box. Let's go in the keys. Box of keys. And again, if anybody watching wants to suggest certain things, if you want, if there's something in particular you would like to see, and we can show that, we definitely will try. All right, let's see. Marvel key box. What are we gonna get? It's probably gonna be a 300. It's gonna be It's gonna be rather a 300 or a Secret Wars number 8, or it could be entirely wrong. Okay, we're not entirely wrong. So in my hand here, we have another book that's been going crazy in the comic book market, which is Wolverine number 1. Man, do I love this series. This series is fantastic. If I would have to say, this is probably my favorite artwork when it comes to Frank Miller. I like his artwork in here. And then after he starts, going to DC and such, this is where I don't really care for Frank Miller's artwork too much. I do love his storytelling, though. This is a newsstand copy. I think I picked this book up with the 3 other guys, the whole series on eBay for like $80 at the time. So I think you can find like these books, all 4 of them, going for maybe like $400 now or something ridiculous like that. I don't know. I saw a couple of people auctioning them off, and I'm like, man, that's what that book is going for right now. That's insane.
I have a friend that had like a little box of books, and he handed it to me and just said, "Hey, you can have them." And I flipped through them, and they're all trash. But he had a copy of that book in there. But it looked like it was out of a paper shredder almost. Like, wow, it was beat to the street, dude.
There you go. Well, there's your reader copy.
Yeah.
Cool. So fantastic cover. Definitely one of my favorite Wolverine covers, and it's just a classic to this day, in my opinion. What is this, 1982? I think this is 1982. So there you go. Automatic Comics, Secret Wars 8 number, please. I'll give you a quick one, real quick, buddy. I'll flash one. What do we got? I'll pick the first one that I see. There you go. There's a Secret Wars 8 for you. Boom. There's one. Happy now? There you go. Bam. All right. Let's see. Unruly Simeon. Solid pencils. His pencils and Ronin are great. Unruly. So something was kind of said during my interview with Joe Rubenstein, where he says that Frank Miller's pencils were so rough that he feels like that he did most of his pencils as well. But I don't know. I mean, Joe Rubenstein was a very, very interesting interview. I'll just leave it at that. Frank's Daredevil was the bee's knees. Yeah, his Daredevil is really good. Like I said, once he started going, Automatic Comics is very happy. Once he started going to DC and, like Dark Knight Returns, like I don't really care for the artwork at all in there, but the storytelling is really good. There's some moments in the Dark Knight Returns where it's really good. Like, okay, like that panel looks really good, but I don't know.
Did you like his All-Star Batman and Robin?
No.
Yeah, that dialogue was just,
no.
I'm the goddamn Batman.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, like, so like those books that I just got back from CGC, the Master Race, like that storyline is awful too. But you know what? That storyline did come out with some really, really sick covers, and that's all they knew that they had to bank on. They're like, oh, as long as the covers are good, people will buy this. They'll buy this for nostalgic reasons. They'll buy that, and hey, I gotta say, it got me. I mean, I got three covers now, both signed, and I don't know, that story is just completely trash. But anywho, shots fired by Rubenstein. Yeah, dude. Rubenstein, he's an interesting character. Yeah, that's all I'll go with. All right. So this is what our fourth round?
Fourth, I think.
Fourth,
this
maybe?
is number 4.
All right, Ball, your turn, man.
Okay, going back again to the early 70s, Denny O'Neil and Batman. This is Detective Comics number 411. If you don't know who, this is the first appearance of Talia al Ghul, soon to be followed by her father in Batman 232, Ra's al Ghul. So this was really kind of, I mean, this was a storyline that he kind of followed for a while, and it really kind of rejuvenated the Batman title in a lot of different ways. What he did with the Al Ghuls and everything, and and it was topical at the time, the early 70s. He and Al Ghul was an environmental terrorist basically who thought he could save the world by killing most of the humans, and it was something that probably over the more time has passed, probably even the more significant it became to people. So that's the first appearance of Talia al Ghul. So, another Neil Adams cover, but it's not Neil Adams' interior. So.
Oh, good. Thanks for pointing that out because I never knew that. This is another. Wrong thing. Wrong button to push. This is yet another book that I don't have in the collection. I've had a couple of times where I could have picked it up, but just another one of those books I've just put on the back burner. I was like, I'm not ready for that. I've done that so many times, and then just completely eat the bill later because it just. Especially with this market later. But yeah, that's another book I don't have. Fantastic book. I'm seeing a lot of books on today's live stream that I don't have yet, and do eventually want to get. But that was a nice book, man.
Hey,
Thanks.
I got a question here. So I heard you say Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah.
And when I grew up watching the animated series, they would say Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah, I don't really know which one is right. If you're asking me that,
movie, the Batman Begins called him Ra's al Ghul.
I think it's one of those tomato things. That's
a different pronunciation though. That's not Rays or Raz. It's Raish or Raz. That's a different sound. So
I've always said Ra's al Ghul. That's how I've always pronounced it. I don't know.
All right, I'm going Raish. You all heard it here first.
I'm just gonna call him Mr. Ghoul from now on.
Yeah, Mr. Ghoul. All right. Is it my turn then?
Yeah, it's your turn.
All right. Automatic Comics, front, middle, or center?
Ooh, he's calling you out, Automatic Comics. Ryan, are you still in the chat, man?
That's a good idea.
How about all the ways people are saying Shang-Chi now?
Yep.
Really? There's different ways of people saying Shang-Chi? I don't know. I say Shang-Chi. Yeah, I haven't heard any. I say Shang-Chi.
Me too.
Of course, I had to call out Automatic when he was in the bathroom. Unruly, front, middle, or back?
Where did Ryan go? He's being like Scrooge McDuck with all his books that he just bought. He just
got in another $30,000 shipment.
He's making comic book angels in his pile of books.
All right. Unruly says X-Men #1. All right.
That's very blunt.
Found it.
Oh, right.
Man.
Yeah. Nice.
Speaking of your $20,000 comic books, here you go. This last sold, I think, was at like 22,000 or so. But
Jeez.
Yeah. I only paid $6,900 for it back in July. And that's how much it's gone up since then, which is
wow.
You win though. You
yeah,
win.
dude.
Yep, exactly.
Can't believe it, man. this will always be like the top of my collection. So
Is that what we call bougie?
yeah, dude. And I want to put it up on my shelf. Like that's where because I want it to be out in the open. But what happens if there's an oh shit moment?
It's gotta be in the box.
So, but yeah, I always loved the X-Men as a kid, and I used to have way back in the day, like when I was a kid, the old Marvel Milestone version where it had the silver border around the entire cover, and the story's a little weird. It's not as they're not as dynamic as it is nowadays, but still just an amazing book.
It's
by dynamic. Do you mean creepy?
Well, dude, no, they're a little creepy. Some they're all like really fighting hard over who gets to bone Jean Grey. And they were known as mutants in the book, but they didn't really have that sense of humans versus mutants yet. That hadn't fleshed itself out yet. It was just they were superheroes, and hey, thanks for saving the day against that Magneto jerk, and so yeah, but a really cool book, and definitely everyone has that one. Yeah, I'm all out of the Jim Lee books. Those are they said Lee X-Men 1, I thought they meant Stan Lee, so I went with this one.
That's why you got to kind of be careful, like especially to like any newcomers who are coming into the comic book collecting hobby. Like you got to sort of be careful with like buying first appearances, because even though it's the first appearance, it might not be the character that you really well, you know well, you know what I mean? So like look at Hulk #1, you know what I mean? He only turns into, this green giant raging monster when it's only nighttime, right? When he's not angry. So like, I can see like where that could like put off somebody sometimes, like, oh, like that's not the Hulk that I know, you know what I mean? Or something like that. But you definitely have to watch out sometimes and be careful, because it's not, it's not the character that you might know and love.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, that's and that's fine. I'm just saying, like, because you're like, oh, it's very weird, it's very creepy, like. But I've heard many times where people buy first appearances. Well, maybe not a lot of times, but a good handful of times where they buy first appearances. Like, oh, like I've heard someone say that they bought an ASM 300 and they were disappointed because Venom didn't have very sharp teeth in it. And I was like, well, that's his first appearance. He was kind of still in the works. And, not until the later issues where he starts getting, some nice, creepy, long, pointy teeth. So, all right, Comic Man Andy, your turn, man.
All right, I'm here to be the yin to everybody's yang today. Not tonight.
Yeah, let me get that yang, boy.
We got some great Marvel heat, some great DC heat. So I'm going to dip right into the pile here for some great independent heat.
Yeah.
So a book that isn't talked about often enough in the community, and it kind of depends on where people are at and their love for what's just outside of mainstream comic books. But this is Akira #1, 9.8. So if anybody that has been looking at Akira books or hunting Akira books or kind of paying attention to that Akira market, they know that this book is incredibly difficult to get in a 9.8. A lot of them are damaged. There's scratches. The 9.8s go for really decent money now. But why is this specific one important? Right there. If we can get it to focus here. Oh, come on. Do it for me.
Second printing. I see it.
I see it.
This is the first ever copy of the second printing of Akira to hit the CGC census. This one specifically. I had to, they mislabeled it. And I had to send it back and say, hey, look, this is incorrect. It's mislabeled. It is the second printing. It's denoted by the $395 cover price instead of the $350 cover price. And also on the back, it has a newsstand barcode. So the second printing is even more difficult to find than the first printings. And this was the first one that hit the CGC census. So this one actually, everybody that had a completed Akira set on the registry, a completed one, just went to, hey, here's an open spot for you. Now you got to find the second print.
Wow.
So it took a better part of a year, and I actually had to call CGC a couple of times and work with them. Hey, look, this is actually a thing. It's a second printing. And 3 or 4 years ago when I started hunting these to try to get a 9.8, There were a lot of people out there that told me I was crazy. This one actually has a sister copy that came to market recently over the last few months and sold for $2,000. And then a third one came up on the census. So this is the first one ever, and now there's 3 on the census. So people are looking for them. People are trying to get them in high grade. There's a couple in lower grade, but this I'm really, really proud of because this was the first ever manga that I ever, or not manga, but the actual animation video that I watched as a kid was Akira. That was my first exposure into manga and animation, and I absolutely loved it, and then became a pretty big fan and started watching a lot of manga and reading a lot of manga and actually watching animation over the years. So I had to hunt this down, and I'm still hunting actually for a first print 9.8 because I'm just not going to go right out and drop a G on a 9.8. I really want to hunt one in high enough quality I can get back from CGC. I've already submitted 4. They've all come back 9.6. Oh. So this was so far my only successful 9.8. But yeah, it happens. CGC sometimes has to work with the collector community to be made aware of some of these situations because this went through graders' hands twice, this specific copy, and none of them realized there's a $3.95 cover price. There's a difference, and they must not have opened it because I believe on the inside it even says second print as well.
It should, yeah, it should. So is that still the only one that's on the CGC census?
There's 3 now, and the sister copy that was number 2 that showed up on the census actually sold about 3 months ago, I think, for $2,000 on GPA analysis, actually.
Wow, very, very cool. Very, very cool. I had another question about it, but it slipped my mind.
Those covers scuff really easily. It's a kind of like a cardstock cover, and it's square bound, so it's got a lot going against it when it comes to collecting it. You think square bound books, then you think a matte cardstock cover scratches really easily, no matter what you do. Just sliding it in on a bag and board can actually take it from a 9.8 to a 9.6 in some circumstances.
That's pretty interesting. So what did you have to do in order to work with CGC to get them to verify that it was a second printing?
When it came back mislabeled, it was actually on one of my CGC unboxings on my channel. I saw it. You could see the look on my face. I was like, wait a second.
I think I remember that.
I snapped a couple of pictures and sent them an email and said, hey, this is mislabeled. And they immediately opened up a work order, whatever you wanted to call it, and said, okay, send it right back. I said, okay, while we're doing this, I called them directly. I said, okay, here's the stuff that you guys opened up. You guys don't have a registry spot or a section for this second printing. It doesn't exist on your registry. And I'm telling you, this is a second printing, and you guys have to verify that as the $3.95 cover price with the barcode on the back. Because it's within the collector community, there's this niche of Akira collectors, and there was an agreement that this is the second print. But nobody really agreed it was collectible. And I'm like, it damn well is collectible, and I'm hunting for one in the 9.8. And so it was more about time than it was about work. You know what I mean? A couple of phone calls later, and it was back in my hands, and it was correctly labeled. And then all of a sudden you look on the registry, and there's a spot for it.
Nice.
Interesting. Very cool. Very cool. All right. So, gentlemen, we are 53 minutes in. We're about to hit 54 minutes. So the show usually runs an hour. I know you two gentlemen down there have agendas after the show. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip around. We're going to go back to Paul, and then we'll finish it off. All right. So why don't we go to Paul, and we'll do sort of like a fire round so we can wrap this up by the hour mark.
Okay. This one is from Avengers 196. For the appearance of Taskmaster.
Whoa.
This is he's the only character that I'm a little bit worried about in the Marvel movies. If you've seen him, like, Marvel has done a really good job with the costumes and everything of their characters and kind of being as close to comic correct as possible. He doesn't look right to me in the movies, and maybe they'll fix it, or maybe I won't be bothered by it when I actually see the movie. But he's in the Black Widow movie, which is why his issue is getting a little bit hot again. But he's just a great character. He can mimic anybody's moves and everything, and he's just a great character. And I love George Perez is my favorite artist. And this actually was inked by Joe Rubinstein.
Oh.
Yeah,
His cover.
he's done a lot of covers. Joe Rubenstein. He's done a lot of work. He also has his own record. He kind of tricked me and said he had a Guinness World Record of the most pieces of work that he's inked, but he's been definitely around for a long time. He hasn't done any work for Marvel or DC in about 20 years, but he did a lot of work for them while he got his career started. Now, I totally agree with you on what you said. I am a little bit worried about seeing Taskmaster on the silver screen a little bit. He kind of, I mean, I haven't seen enough to make me feel impressed about it, but again, but with everything that I've seen so far with the suit and whatnot, I'm not really impressed, and I'm a little skeptical about him as well.
Yeah, I mean, Marvel really hasn't made any missteps so far, so I'm hoping that I'll be blown away by the fact when he does show up. But if I didn't know it was Taskmaster, if I had just seen him in the trailer, I probably wouldn't have known who the character was.
It's true. Yeah, it can kind of go over your head a little bit. Like, wait, who was that again? Wait, that was Taskmaster. Oh, okay. Wow. All right. I wish I'd known that. All right, George, your turn.
All right. I don't care. I'm the guest here.
I don't care either.
I'm showing 2 books.
Do it.
So
Go for
first
it.
book, very much like what Andy was just talking about. I had a second printing that I was really interested in getting. This one was found on the back of the action figure.
Yes.
And I was really excited because I was going to have the first 9/8 on the census, and someone else beat me to the punch. And then that copy sold, and I saw it on eBay, and it was a mislabeled first print, and I was really pissed about it. I tried to get CGC to correct the census, but they would only do that if that book got sent back to them. So someone out there has got a bogus 9.8 of this book. I'm the one with the real one. So let that be the record. Brittany, if you're watching, holler at your boy. But yeah, man, I wanted to end it with my Gambit number 1.
Oh,
Nice.
whoa.
I
The
love
gold cover. Love this book, dude. It's so freaking shiny. And
Shiny.
Gambit is amazing. I have both of his first appearance and his true first appearance. I like this book better than any of those because it's freaking a gold cover, dude. And I just love how the trade dress is almost the entire front of the book. It's super cool. And then the back is just a piece of black cardboard.
Wow.
And you got a 9.8. It's tough
Yeah.
when you have the blacks. It's like,
Oh, dude, 9.8. Like, and I got this off of Elite Comics off of Instagram, and they had it at a price, and I was like, oh, absolutely, buy. And then I was awesome because as soon as I hit it, like 4 other people hit a backup claim, and I was like, ha, suckers. So
Speaking of, I better check them. Yeah, I usually find stuff too late too.
oh, dude, I've got them set to like notify me the moment it drops. So
Me too. I do too. That book is really, really hard to get in a 9.8. I mean, so just as Paul said, with the back cover being black, and it is a very, very tough book to get in a 9.8.
Oh yeah.
He takes so much of my money.
Oh, that's where I got my X-Men 1 from.
Yep. The only first appearance is the annual. The Comic Bible says so. Overstreet has a DB. It has that way for years.
I have that one and the Uncanny X-Men. So I've got them all in a 9.8 white pages, but I like that Gambit Gold better than any of the first appearance ones. Just personal preference.
Have you read that story too?
Oh yeah, there's a 4-issue miniseries, came out right when I was just knee deep into reading comic books as a kid, and I love that series. And then they had like a Rogue series after that. That was pretty fun, and yeah.
Cool.
All right, Andy.
Andy, your turn.
Ooh,
What's up?
last round, right? So I'm grabbing one of my favorite villain covers.
Okay.
And of course, we're going to end it with some Punisher heat. And this is Wallace Portacio, Scott Williams, awesome cover out of Punisher Volume 2 with Kingpin busting through the wall, grabbing Frank Castle. This is a book that hasn't seen the light of day for quite a very long time. And I'll tell you why.
Whoa!
This is the only 9.9 in existence of Punisher Volume 2, number 18. So not only do I love the cover, but when I found this going up for auction, I'm like, yeah, no, this isn't going anywhere but my house. The Punisher collector that I am, yeah. And this, back in the day when I got it, was redonkulously cheap. You can't put a price on this book. This is the only one in existence. So
One of one.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to, yeah. Let's talk about this for a hot second because I cut my notes on the back.
Wow.
Wow. $114. Wow.
11 years ago.
Wow.
So redonkulously cheap for a 9.9 one of one in the world. And Kingpin busting right through a concrete wall to grab Frank Castle. Probably one of the coolest action villain covers. And it's Wallace Portacio and Scott Williams. They did epic Punisher work back in the day.
You took me by surprise by that grade, dude. I was not expecting that. I saw that 9.9. I was like, whoa, hey now.
I still need a 9.9 in my collection, man.
Yeah, me too. A 9.9 and a double cover.
Ooh, yeah, I don't have a double cover yet either.
Yeah, that's something I want to eventually snag is a double cover book.
I passed up a double cover ASM 361 9.6 several years ago because I don't buy 9.6s, or I didn't at the time. And I was so bougie about it. And I look back now, I'm like, you idiot. Now I buy 9.6s and 9.4s and 9.2s and everything under the sun because
he had his nose up like, I don't buy.
I'm an idiot for being that way back in the day.
You can see you combing your beard as you decline to purchase. Nope, not today, Satan.
A really Simeon, solid books all around. All right, let me show. You know what? I'm going to show off the last two books because why not? There's two slabs here, and it's the last round. Ooh, nice books. Perfect. We got The Dark Knight Returns, number 1, signed by Frank Miller. CCC graded on 9.4. One of my favorite Batman stories. Again, not a fan of the art, but the story. And then we have also the first appearance of one of my favorite Batman villains, Bane, who came around the same time where I was born. This is signed by the co-creators, which is awesome as well. This was a book that I already had for this year. I had a 9.6 where I bought from Comic Head 84, and I was like, you know what? I got to get this book in a 9.8 before it just jumps any more in price. And so I ended up snagging this book even cheaper than a Blue Label's going for today, thanks to Tulp Michael on Instagram. So those are the last two books I'm going to be showing off for the round. That's going to do it for today's show, everybody. So to my guests, thank you so much for coming on, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. You guys are more than welcome to come back anytime. And to anybody who was watching, again, don't forget to subscribe to these guys, show your love and support. Go click on the links in this video's description down below and click on that subscribe button to their channels. And guys, if you want to watch more What's That Comic Book, I'll see you guys next week on Saturday for new guests. I'm Kevin Vidini for Superpower Review, and I will see you guys next time. What is that? What is that? It's a mini slab? It's a mini slab.